You know what? The more I think about last night's episode of Raw, the more disappointing it was. Seriously. Hey, what's up and how's it going, everyone? Well, I'm so glad that you have took your time to spend with me right here today on the Make Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show. I'm your co-host, Mike McRock Wilson, and last night was WWE Monday Night Raw. The show kicked off last night when the Authority was in the ring and they talked about the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, such and such, And then Triple H is about to introduce the return of Batista, and out comes Randy Orton. He walks in the ring with a purpose, gets on the microphone, and basically tells off the Authority about their unrational decisions about bringing back Batista and bringing back Brock Lesnar, stuff like that. And this is basically a back and forth interaction between the Authority and Randy Orton. The Authority is coming off as faces, even though they're heel Authority figures, which I thought was weird in that sense. So it was a weird first segment, the way you're supposed to portray the Authority as heels is not get the reaction of cheers from the audience. That, I think, was a little weird because right now it just feels like, they're going in that direction. You might as well turn them faces. And if there's some sort of, logical explanation of why they're doing what they're doing, I'm all for it. As long as they, become, the villains that they're supposed to be and not get the face reaction from the crowd. And then, this is basically Orton looking like a bitch throughout that entire first segment of the show. He goes on and mentions that he needs to be protected more, that he can't win the championship by himself. And to me, that signalizes that Randy Orton does not look credible going into the Royal Rumble. And that's a big problem for a heel to not look credible going into a pay-per-view. So, yeah, you get the idea. And then, after that, all that happens. Batista's music hits, he comes out. I thought that was a great moment for Batista to come out. I got chills when his music hit. He comes out, he kisses the ring. You can tell he's passionate when he enters the ring. Comes on the microphone and cuts what I call a really dry and dull promo. Said he's back. I'm here to win the Royal Rumble and head to headline WrestleMania. Deal with it. And I pray to the gods above that he does not win the Royal Rumble. I like that he's back, but there's superstars that are on the roster that deserve to win the Royal Rumble more than Batista because he just came back from a 4-year hiatus. And that's the reason why I think that Batista should not win the Royal Rumble. Overall, like I said, it was a dry and dull promo. The timing of the return looked great. Him facing off with Randy Orton, I thought was a little too early if they're going to go that route of the Batista winning the Royal Rumble, which, like I said, I hope it does not happen. I would rather see Batista face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. To me, that's the logical thing to do with Batista. It's to have the animal versus the beast. Have that marquee match at WrestleMania rather than this whole evolution thing with Randy Orton going one-on-one with Batista for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Oh, that would just really bother me. So I think that, all honesty, they should go the route of Batista versus Brock Lesnar, because you hear Randy Orton mention Brock Lesnar and Batista sort of in the same sentence without having them face each other. How Randy Orton, spotted it on the show. So, you know what? A small little thing like that could mean a big difference. I hope that's the case. Moving on to the six-man tag team match. It was the Shield versus Big E Langston, the Intercontinental Champion, and the tag team champions, Cody Rhodes and Goldust. And basically, this felt like a filler match. The Shield went over. It was a decent match. There was one spot I really, really liked, is that when Cody Rhodes went for the springboard kick, Roman Reigns countered it into the Superman punch. That moment looked great. And overall, the Seth Rollins pinning Big E Langston was a sign that something is going to happen to the Shield at the Royal Rumble, that they're going to have some sort of plot point where you see the Roman Reigns clean house in the Royal Rumble, and then Dean Ambrose from behind eliminates Roman Reigns from the Royal Rumble match. And you can incorporate Seth Rollins in that mix as well. He's the guy in question in the Royal Rumble match when it comes to breaking up the Shield, but we'll see what happens at the Royal Rumble event. Also, we saw Daniel Bryan telling all. He came out about why he turned on the Wyatt family last week inside the steel cage, because he wanted Bray Wyatt one-on-one, and he had his opportunity in the steel cage match. And the show ended off with him on top of the cage doing the yes, 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 and he's in unison with the crowd. Everything looked great. I thought, his promo was really good. I can hear Daniel Bryan talk all day. He mentioned that he became the buzzard and he chewed on Bray Wyatt's carcass when he got the opportunity. And then Bray Wyatt showed up on the screen, basically calling Daniel Bryan a traitor, and he played off of how he's well over with the audience. Later on, we saw the Wyatt family taking on the Usos in a tag team match. The Usos are one of the hottest teams right now. They are looking really good. I don't know why they're not in the tag team title picture now, as opposed to later, because of how the WWE has booked the Usos. What happened was that the Usos won this match when Daniel Bryan came out and attacked. When Bray Wyatt came out and attacked Bray Wyatt from behind. And throughout that match, we saw Bray Wyatt cut another promo and said that Bray Wyatt is entering, that Daniel Bryan is entering the meat grinder, and he has no chance against Bray Wyatt. And I really like the little things when it comes to certain characteristics of superstars. When Luke Harper had one of the Usos in a headlock, he was doing the whole yeah, and he stuck out his tongue, looking really strange, and he really sold his character really well. And to me, Luke Harper is my favorite of the Wyatt family for that reason. He knows how to sell a great tag team match and applying really rugged style-like maneuvers. He is, to me, the standout in the Wyatt family. And really overall, this whole Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt thing, to me, really fizzled out. Having Daniel Bryan turn on Bray last week really felt like it was closure to that storyline, and there was really no need to continue it after that because of that reason. And let's just throw in these guys in the Royal Rumble match where Daniel Bryan wins the Royal Rumble. To me, Daniel Bryan is the only logical superstar to win the Royal Rumble because of how he's well over with the fans. So we'll see what happens at the Royal Rumble. I will do a prediction video of certain things that could happen in the Royal Rumble match as well. So watch out for that. Also on the show, we saw Fandango defeat Xavier Woods, and this was the purest definition of a jobber squash match. Need I say more? The only decency of that match was Emma. You saw Emma up in the audience promoting herself with the sign, doing her dance. She's if you don't know who she is, she's a diva on NXT and hopes to become a superstar on Raw and SmackDown. And to me, that looked like a sign that she's been planted there for that reason, to become a diva in the Divas division and hopefully go for the Divas Championship. Also, we saw Stephanie McMahon come in backstage when we saw Kane and Brad Maddox talking. Steph says, "I want to talk to Kane alone," and Brad Maddox goes out of the picture. Basically, Steph is saying, "Kane, you should go out to the ring and apologize to CM Punk for chokeslamming him on SmackDown." What happened was that when Kane got to the ring, he called out Punk. He said he apologizes, and CM Punk playing the babyface, the watered down good guy, said, "I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You want to repeat that?" He said he apologizes, and Punk says, "I'm not going to embarrass you any further," and he says, "I'm sorry too." Takes it out on Kane after the chokeslam on SmackDown, and when Kane tried to get Punk again, Brad Maddox stops him and says that CM Punk will face one of the New Age Outlaws. Out comes Billy Gunn. CM Punk wins that match, and then Kane and Maddox come back in and says that CM Punk will enter the Royal Rumble in the number one entrant. I thought overall this was a predictable part of the show, but it still looked decent enough to make me invested in this storyline with CM Punk and the Authority. And it looks like they're going down this path of CM Punk versus Triple H at WrestleMania 30, and I'm actually okay with it because of what they're doing now and what could possibly lead to Kane eliminating Punk in the Royal Rumble match, or anyone in the Authority eliminating Punk in the Royal Rumble match. That would be interesting. And have CM Punk versus Kane, and having that stipulation of if CM Punk beats Kane, he will get to face Triple H at WrestleMania. Something like that would make sense to develop this storyline between Punk and Triple H. I would be, like I said, okay with it. And we'll see where this goes. Hopefully this don't flop. That's basically the only issue I'll have with it, is that it would lose momentum. And right now it's looking good for CM Punk in the Royal Rumble. I can see him getting so far in the Royal Rumble match before he gets eliminated from someone from the Authority. Also on the show, we saw Rey Mysterio go one-on-one with Alberto Del Rio in the rubber match. We get this match again, of course. But you know what? This match turned out to be a really good match. I thought that Alberto Del Rio and Rey Mysterio put on a great performance inside the ring. It was a good wrestling match. The only little issue I have with that is that it feels like a parody of Randy Orton and John Cena, where they face each other over and over and over. But for some reason, I can get past that because of the performance those two put on last night. I thought it was the match of the night. And after that, Alberto Del Rio won the match. Batista comes out and takes out Alberto Del Rio. What happened was that the Batista spinebustered Alberto Del Rio, and when I was watching that happen, I'm like, oh my God, that looked horrible. That looked really rusty, that spinebuster. It looked like when Batista had him up before he slammed him, he was kind of like all over the place before he slammed him. I'm like, oh, that was cringeworthy. I'm worried about Batista because he came back 4 years not wrestling in the ring, so that rust factor is going to come into play. That did not look good. That spine buster did not look good at all. That sucked. And when he powerbombed him, it was basically a normal Kevin Nash-like powerbomb and not a sit-down powerbomb, a normal Batista bomb. So that really fell flat, that whole thing. And with that being said, I could have done without this. They should have saved that moment for the Royal Rumble event. They had to have this encounter on Raw as opposed to the Royal Rumble, giving this away on free television, which makes me think that maybe Alberto Del Rio will eliminate Batista. Maybe that's the direction they will go in. I don't know. I hope, because like I said before, Batista does not deserve to win the Royal Rumble match, and it would make Alberto Del Rio not look like a total bitch. Excuse my language, but it is what it is. And like I said, we'll see what happens at the Royal Rumble. And basically this whole thing, like I said, I could have done without this. I thought, Batista coming out twice was a little bit of an overkill. The whole segment between him and Randy Orton was just okay. I could have done with just that and not the encounter with Alberto Del Rio. I can understand it because it was something to build up between these two guys in the Royal Rumble. But like I said, they give this away on Raw. They really should have just given it at the Royal Rumble to make it look more credible and believable. So I'm kind of to me, this is like one of the worst returns of a WWE superstar. And if there ever was a list of top 10 worst returns in WWE, that would be right up there. So overall, moving on. Okay, I'm just going to move on. Big Show comes out and he impersonates Paul Heyman. He puts Brock Lesnar over a bit, but he says, I don't like him. He calls out Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman comes out, and the little things matter. Paul Heyman is a genius when he sells himself, when he doesn't even talk on the microphone. You see he's about to talk, he does not say a word. He turns his head to the entrance where the superstars come out, and out comes Brock Lesnar. The genius of Paul Heyman, the little things matter. Paul Heyman really sold that absolutely incredible. Out comes Brock Lesnar. He's about to enter the ring. He teases it, but backs away. And then Big Show gets on the microphone again and says, get in the ring, I want to fight. And Brock Lesnar eventually comes in, and Big Show gets one-upsmanship on Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar throws a fit, throws everything in sight. The top of the table goes, the chair goes, the monitor goes, flicks it in the ring. And to me, if you're going to add elements of chairs and monitors and announce tables and stuff like that, this match really should be a no disqualification or Street Fighter hardcore match or whatever you want to call it because of that fact. And to me, this was one of the most predictable moments on the show, where you have Big Show gaining all this momentum into the Royal Rumble, and they're not going to have Brock Lesnar lose to the Big Show when he just returns. So this, to me, this is like Big Show jobbing out to Brock Lesnar. And really, when you really think about it, when it comes to the realistic factor, no one could really take on Brock Lesnar. And I see Brock Lesnar cleaning house on the Big Show. That's all I have to say. After that, we saw AJ Lee and Tamina versus the Funkadactyls, Cameron and Naomi. And we saw that segment where Bad News Bear tells AJ that the other divas don't like her, and she throws a fit and ends up throwing a cake at Tamina by accident. So, right now they're going to tease that little the split between those two. And basically, like what the WWE is doing to Randy Orton, they're making AJ Lee look like a weak little kindergarten-like child in the ring. Why? What happened was that Naomi got the win. And like I said, Naomi is only one of the very few divas that actually could make me feel like she would look great going into a championship match for the Divas title. And this whole thing with AJ Lee as the champion now, the longest reigning champion, this is really starting to fizzle out. Something needs to happen to AJ. She's losing a lot of credibility, I think, and basically AJ Lee should come off as more ruthless and relentless to have something going for her, but instead the WWE treats her like a immature 5-year-old and throws fits in the ring. And the only thing that I do like is that Naomi looks like is going to be in the title picture for the Divas Championship. Moving on, we learn now that there's going to be a pre-show match for the World Tag Team Champions, and here I'm thinking, why on the pre-show? I would have rather seen this on the actual Royal Rumble event. This is supposed to be an important championships, the Tag Team Championships, and then they devalue it by putting it on the pre-show. Take away the Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan match and put in the Tag Team title match in that spot. Please just do it. Just drop that one-on-one match and put in the Tag Team title match. For the love of God, just do it. And the reason why I say that is because the story between Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan has fizzled out. So just put them in the Royal Rumble match. It's not that hard. So when the WWE builds up their main event match, their championship, their WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, you want to be emotionally invested, right? Well, in this case, that aspect just does not look believable one bit. Now, I'm not even going to talk about the match between Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston. I'm basically going to talk about the storyline with Randy Orton and John Cena and what the WWE has done to close out Monday Night Raw going into their match at the Royal Rumble. What happened was that John Cena, before the match was over, made his entrance to the arena. And to me, that alone did not look believable at all. He had his ring gear on, he had his new t-shirt on, he had his shorts on, he had his wristbands on. It just doesn't look believable at all. Now, if he had his street clothes on, I would have bought that for sure, because it would show that John Cena just arrived. And here's another thing about that. John Cena is one of those guys that is usually the first one to go to work, so that whole making his entrance into the arena thing just really fell flat. It did not make sense one bit. And like I said, it does not look believable. After that, you saw John Cena come out and take his frustrations out on Randy Orton. They go at it outside the ring. They make their way up into the audience. They're climbing up the steps. And they end up outside of the arena, where Randy Orton, once again, looks like a bitch and goes into a vehicle and in the passenger side, it looks like, and the driver drove off. And what happened after that was that John Cena, John Cena was, got furious that he never got his hands on Randy Orton, and even though he did, he comes back into the arena. So what's the point of John Cena coming back inside the arena, going back to the audience again and back in the ring? Wouldn't it make more sense if the show ended where John Cena is furious outside, looking at the vehicle that drove off, and showing his anger, showing his emotions, instead of having him come back and do the whole celebration, John Cena signature stuff? That does not look right at all. It doesn't make me invested into their match this Sunday at the Royal Rumble. It just does not, and I'm not surprised about that, because the WWE is known to have storylines really have a lot of logical fails, so I'm not surprised at the least when it comes to booking this John Cena, Randy Orton, hopefully their last match, their last encounter at the Royal Rumble, hopefully. And because Randy Orton has been looking like a you-know-what for the past number of weeks, I don't mind if John Cena wins this match. And to me, that's saying a lot, because John Cena, to me, does not need the WWE World title. Randy Orton needs it more than John Cena going into WrestleMania, and have John Cena versus Daniel Bryan for the title as the main event, and those two will put on a great performance. We know already, because of the past matches they had before. So what do you think of last night's Monday Night Raw? Comment below and let me know. And that was my review of last night's show. And while you're at it, you can also follow MRB Wrestling Reviews on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.